Emerald and Green class, and it's your maths lesson with Mrs. Ludd, your talking teacher head, and we're going to do our arithmetic this morning. We've got 3 little sections here to do your bronze, silver and gold. And see if you can get those done. 3 sections in your book, and pause the video, get ready for your answers. Okay, so we've got the using the 2s to get the 4s to get the 8s times table. You can use some doubling here. You might have seen that pattern, and spot those patterns between the 2. You can use your 3 times table to get your 6 times tables as well. So if you spotted that, well done, and you can keep using those. It helps you fill in those gaps of the tables that you're not sure of. And keep practicing those times tables and division facts are really useful. So your silver one was to take away 9, and I gave you that tip at the top tip at the top for take away 10 and then add on 1, which was the inverse of what we were doing the other day when we were adding on 9. We were adding 10 and taking away 1. So those are really good strategies to help you or stop you from having to count up on your fingers and get confused with those 9s. I wonder if you can tell me how you would add on 8. How could you do that if you were to add on 8 or take away 8 in the same way? What would you have to do? Somebody put me a little message of that on. I'd be really pleased with that. See if you can get that. All right, so we've got some number facts, multiplication facts, and we're using those to access those higher numbers using our place value. This one at the end here, a little bit tricky if you've got the 2 lots of 10. So this is 4 times 10 again, 4 lots of 10 and 8 lots of 10. So have a little look at that one, because it's 32, and if it was times 80 on its own it would be 320, but we've got the other 0, we've got to times it by 10, another times 10 again. Okay, so that's a little bit of a tricky one there. So your starter today is the very last of our maths problem solving. We've done really well with that, and we're moving from measuring mass, so that's measuring weights and doing your weight problems, to measuring volume. Okay, which is basically, if you think of it as measuring a liquid or the space in a jug or a measuring piece of measuring equipment, then that's what that measures. Okay, often we think of it as liquid, but it's not just liquid, but we'll come to this as well. Okay, so we'll start with this starter. And Eva says 1 kilogram of bananas shared between 2 children is 50 grams each. Bonnie says it's 500 grams each. Who is correct? So you can jot the name down in your book, and who you can explain why that person is correct. Now think of that key fact. What do you know about 1 kilogram and grams? What is the relationship between the two? And that key fact will help you to get this explained. Okay, so if you pause it there, and then I'll put the answer up for you. Okay, so it is Bonnie who says it's 500 each. If we have 500 and we add 500 to 500, we get 1,000, and we know that there is 1,000 grams in 1 kilogram. So 1,000 shared between 2 people is 500 grams. Okay, if it was 50 grams, then the 1 kilogram would equal 100 grams, and that's not right. Okay, so we've got the starter for our calls today. We've got a carrot and an onion, and together they weigh 20 shells. How many shells could each of them weigh? So there's more than one answer to this. Okay, so it's not defined. You know what could they weigh between them? Okay, so one would weigh part of this and the other would be the other part. Okay, that's a clue for you. Have a go. There's lots of different answers here. And get ready. I've said that the shells, the carrot could weigh 4 shells, and the onion could weigh 6. The carrot might weigh 3 shells. Is that right? I haven't done that right, have I? Oh, Mrs. Ludlow, that would make 10. So one of those needs to be 16 shells, doesn't it? Oh, I did a slip up there. So yeah, they've got to make 20 altogether, not 10. It's been a while since I've looked at those and seen that there's 20 on there. Oh, oops. So it could be 14 shells and 6 shells. It could be 10 and 10. They've got to be a number bond that gets to 20. Okay, you'll do that better than me. Okay. So the volume, we're going to have a look at this now. The volume of liquid in this jug is 1 litre. And you can see it's got measuring scale again down the side. This time, unlike the weights and the mass, it's what I'd call a straight scale. Okay. Although when they're on the side, they've got a slight curve to them as well. But they don't go round in that circle like a clock. Now I want you to talk about this, and you can talk out loud or talk to a grown-up and see if you can work out. So that jug is filled up. So we've got 3 containers, each contain less than 1 litre of liquid. How can we find out how much liquid there is in the 3 containers? Now have a little think, have a little problem solve there. How could you work out how much liquid is in there? Is there a way of doing that? Okay, what would you need in order to work out how much liquid there is in there? Okay, so you might think of going and getting some more measuring jugs. Okay, you might want to have a look on the perhaps have a look and estimate with the especially with the bottle, because you'll find that the amount of the capacity of that bottle, so the whole of the space in that bottle, will probably be shown on the label somewhere. Okay, so you might be able to have an estimate, but there are other ways of measuring that that liquid. Pouring it into another measuring jug would be quite useful, and I'm sure there's other very creative ways that you could do that. So we're going to learn now. Mrs. Potts, she says we can measure volume with measuring beakers, and we have these in school. They're like a little jug. This one is about that big. It's quite a small one. It's smaller than a cup, and this says that the beakers are marked in milliliters. Can you say that with me? Milliliters. Okay, not millimeters, because that's length. Okay, milliliters. It's quite a tricky to get your tongue twisted round that one. Blah, blah. So we've got the scale on this one is showing 100 milliliters at the top, and in brackets we put the shortened science unit of measure for that, which is ml, and it's not a capital letter. It's a lowercase m and a lowercase l. Okay, so the amount of water in a container is called the volume of water. Okay, so the space that water is taking up is its volume. Okay, so we don't get a ruler out and measure it with a ruler. It's not a ruler line on there. It's the space that water is taking up. Okay, because it's taking up a 3-dimensional space. So volume is a 3D measurement. Okay, and so it's measured in milliliters in there. So in this instance the volume is the liquid. Okay, think of that. The volume is the stuff. Okay, the amount of water in the container is called the volume of water. So this beaker measures 100 milliliters, and each one of these, there are 10 milliliter intervals. Okay, so if there are 10 lots of 10 milliliter intervals, we can count them up, and we should find that there are 10 lots of 10 milliliter intervals. So we've got 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, up to 100. So there are 10 spaces, remembering that this would be the 0 line, so the first jump would be onto 10, So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And you can see from the bottom you've got that jump going up 10 milliliters. Okay. So we're going to measure volume in milliliters on our jug. So this one has been filled up. We've got the can that we wanted to find the measurement of, pouring it into here, and we can see from here that this is exactly the same as the one on the previous page on that one. And we'll pour the can in, and it goes all the way up to, so we go 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, and you can see that it just cuts off at that 90, just before 100 milliliters. So the volume on here is 90 milliliters, ml. Okay, 90 mil. Some people do call it mil, okay, for short, mil. Okay, and that's only used for actually it might be used for millimeters as well. Mil, yeah, I think it is. It's a shortened version. It's a shortened word. Okay, some people do say it's always 100 mil. Okay, so we're going to do guided practice. You've got 3 here, and the beakers contain coloured water. We've got a red one, a green one. I think it's a purple one. What is the volume of water in each beaker? So this is the amount of liquid in here. It's not how much water can be fitted into that jug. So you've got to think volume is the liquid in there. So the volume of coloured water in this beaker is about, and I've blown this bit up here so that you can see it. It's not very clear on the video and on the PowerPoint. It's a little bit small. So we start from the bottom, and we can see on here there are 2 quite thick lines. It's on the thick line, and it's on then 100 is the other thick line. And usually if there's just 2, that will show halfway. Okay, that's a sort of a bigger interval. That shows you half. Okay, so let's have a little measure from the bottom in milliliters. We've got 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and it's on the 50. So that is going to be 50 milliliters. And you measure from the front, so don't have a look at the back and think, oh, it looks about 100 there, just under 100. It's not, because that scale is on the front of the jug, the measuring beaker. So you must measure from the front. Don't tip it around. Just, you know, you might need to sort of like go down and have a look at where it is, so that you get that the water's level with your eyesight, with your vision. So the green water here, this one really is a bit more fuzzy. The volume of water that should show in the beaker is about, and then here we go all the way up to, we've got 50, 60, so 70. It lays between 60 and 80, 70 on there. So 2 up from 50, 60, 70. 70 milliliters. I'm going to get you to do this one. See if you can do it without me. So how many milliliters? We've got 10 and 20 milliliters. It's quite nice. I think this is a nice day today. It's going to be quite quick for you to get this work done. Hopefully that you've got this. It's very, very similar. And there's no sort of traps in this work today. It's just about reading those steps, reading that volume in milliliters. And so look carefully at the scale on the side. Judge where the liquid has reached on the scale. So looking, directly at that. Don't look at the back of the beaker. Looking at the front, exactly where the liquid has reached on that scale. Write the measurement down, and then you have to include your milliliters, unit of measure, after the number measurement. Okay, so today we have got an extra challenge for you. If you're in class, it's going to be really hard to do work where we normally mingle a little bit, and we would do some comparing of sets of water. Okay, but it's going to be really tricky to do that, and obviously at home you are a little bit restrained by the sorts of equipment that you've got, but it's still possible to do. So if you are in school, you can do this as well when you get home, but you must ask permission first. because it's always a polite thing to do, and it might not be convenient just to do it all in one go when, you know, when the house is busy. You know, you've got to pick your time. Okay, it might be that you do it at the weekend. Okay, but this is what we'd normally do. We'd have a little bit of, we say it's not really water play, but it's just about, you know, working out sort of a little bit of real life maths. So you're going to measure small volumes, small amounts of liquid, up to about 100 milliliters. So it's quite a small amount. Okay, so it could be that you could fill up an egg cup or a small yogurt pot or something like that to try and work out the volume of the liquid inside. Is it under 100 milliliters or is it over 100 milliliters? And you can try and find some small measuring equipment that might help you. So you might want to take them, do some spoons, see how many spoonfuls it would be. A plastic measuring spoon, like a I call it a cowpole spoon, is 5 milliliters at one end, and this end is 2.5 milliliters. So if you have something really, really small, you could perhaps count out in fives. Also, you might have a syringe at home, or some measuring scoops, or perhaps some small, have a look at if you've got one of those little dishwashing, or sometimes I have them dishwashers, washing powder scoops. They often don't do that in milliliters. They're done in that volume measurement. Okay, so have a look, have a little practice using that small measuring equipment. Photograph of your practical math. You don't need to record anything unless you want to. You can obviously do a little table with what you did and you know, what you measured and how you did it, what you used. That would be amazing. Okay, but I leave that up to you, and some photographs of that would be fantastic, because I am missing our lovely photographs of everybody in class, and yeah, seeing you do your lovely practical work. So some practical maths, because that worksheet is not huge today. Here it is. It's Tuesday. There's 3 on there to do. Okay, so you can use this. It shouldn't take you long. You possibly don't even need to get that printed out. You can just do that straight away. Okay, but you're thinking about that small amount being 100 milliliters, and try and remember how many were in a litre. How many do you think? You know, where are we going to come from? What are we going to have a look at? If you get your measuring jugs out, you might be able to, you know, learn about this before we actually get to a lot of, you know, and it's good to have a look and have something to remember and recall when you're doing your maths at home and in school. Okay, so I'm going to leave you now. Get on with that lovely maths, and don't forget to ask for permission if you're going to get a load of water out and start splashing about. We don't want any have to use any umbrellas. Okay, not inside today. All right, take care now. Bye.